So I had a great idea. Why don't I do drawing Goku in 1 minute? And let me tell you, I pride myself on being a good artist, but 1 minute is just not enough time. I mean, look at what I'm drawing right now. And I can do better, guys, so just trust me. And now the one you're seeing on screen now is my 10-minute version, which gave me a lot more time to actually flesh out the structure to build the anatomy off of. And if there's one thing you can learn from doing these speed drawings is that you really need to be intentional with your lines. Because if you're not, then you're definitely going to end up having a drawing that looks like my first one. And when it comes to these speed drawings, what really helps is having prior knowledge of anatomy. It doesn't have to be a crazy amount, but at least have some type of idea about how to create structure in order to place the muscles on it. A slight idea of 3D form. You don't have to be a master yet, but incorporating that knowledge along with the speed drawing really helps you ingrain it in your mind. And since the paper for these drawings is actually pretty small, I'm starting with the anatomy and the pants first before I do his face. And as I was drawing, I realized that I might have been taking too much time on certain parts of the drawing as I was getting closer and closer to the end of the timer. 10 minutes also was not enough, and I actually didn't get his face in. And I also started to rush the end of the drawing, as you can see here, and I messed up on his shoulder. And as I moved on to the 1 hour version, I realized that the previous version, the 10-minute, was actually really good practice for this one because it gave me a lot of good ideas in terms of how to take the process in order to create the structure again. And my main goal for this one was to actually not just draw the anatomy, but try to create the reference and keep the proportions as close as possible to the reference that I was copying and actually get Goku's face on the paper, unlike the last one. And as I moved on to the face and the head, I realized that the paper was actually really small, and for the reference, the features would be so tiny on this piece of paper that it would be really hard to actually get them to look correct, and I would have to spend a lot of time on the face. So then I actually started to regret actually doing this challenge on this piece of paper because I wanted to actually get the face as accurate as possible, but I know I only have like a certain period of time actually to even do this, and I can't just take all day in order to do this. So what I did here was basically just take my kneaded eraser and then just lightly go over the previous drawing, which was basically I would like to call my first draft of the drawing, because now that it's lightly erased, I can just go over the defined lines, and that's basically what my final drawing is going to look like, but then I'm going to go over it with ink. As a kid, I actually grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. It was actually one of the first things I started drawing when I was a kid. And looking back at it now, I realized that I didn't really appreciate his actual art style. Now, as an artist, I can actually appreciate that because when I actually try to replicate his art and I see the way he does his lines, he actually has very distinct lines and they change direction very quickly. And at the end, when I started inking, I actually used the wrong pen and I even started on the face first. But since the timer was running out, I decided to just keep going and get as much as I could out before the timer ran out. So that's it for the challenge. This is the final drawing. Let me know what you guys think, and if you have any suggestions for another drawing I should do, let me know down in the comments.